So perfect. So first we're going to basically understand how projection mapping and how it could be used for video art. If you're interested in video art or any kind of projection installation, this is a great tool that you could use here at the Media Commons and just set up different kinds of visual effects, as we'll demonstrate later. We're also going to learn about the different projector types here at the Media Commons. We provide a lot of different kinds and a lot of different lumens, installation methods, so it's really good to just go over those. We're also going to talk about the mounting and connection methods, either on ceiling grids or if you want to put it on a tripod. Depending on your installation, there's a lot of different methods of installation. We're also going to go over, most importantly, the mapping of it through MapMapper, which includes both 2D and 3D mapping on different surfaces. And then last, we're going to play and have fun. Just have fun with the software, have fun with many different features that you can explore on your own as well.
Okay, so what is projection mapping? Projection mapping is a technique of turning any surface, such as walls, objects, sculpture, even building, into a dynamic canvas using lights and visual. So instead of just projecting on a flat screen, you can using light to reshape the physical space. And also, there have some different types on projection mapping. You can use projection mapping, transform building into dynamic canvas, walls and windows into moving visuals, and it's often used in festival and public events to create large-scale impact. Also, you can use projection mapping as an art installation, which allow digital artists to layer lights and motion onto the static object in our daily life. For example, there have a Japanese artist using project the things on the toilet paper, and also an IMA and ITP professor called Gabe to create project the people in the bottles to create some narrative story. And also projection mapping can be used as a sensory experience. By combining visuals with sound, space, and touch, projection mapping can create immersive environments that make people engage multiple senses.
Awesome. So now that we know just general idea of what projection mapping could be used for, we can get started with how to set up a projector and specifically what types of projectors we provide here at the space. So next slide, please. So before we dive into all of that, it's very important to understand your projector choice and what throw distance is and specifically what lumens are. So these are just something that we're going to bring up again and again because there are some really important values to consider when you're considering your projector type or how you're going to set up your installation and the many different things that comes with it. So a throw distance is basically the distance from which the projector and the image on the screen is. And you can have a short throw, a really far installation where there is a further throw for the throw distance of the projector. And there's also just many different things that comes into play with it. There's a specific calculation method, but you don't have to do that now. It's a rabbit hole. But lumen, on the other hand, is also a very specific parameter in which it is the unit of measurement for the total amount of light visible emitted by the projector. And this is really important when you're considering what kind of projectors and how much lumen you'll want to use in a space. Like, for example, you have a dimly lit situation where you still want to have a really strong image from the projector. You might want to consider using a higher lumen projection. And there's a really helpful website over here called Projector Central, and it basically shows you all of the information for lumen, throw distance, projector type, image brightness, image size, etc. We've also linked it on the slides. You can explore if you want to, but you can basically just input any kinds of projector, including Optima, Epson, or any brand that comes into mind, and then just play with it, see how you can adjust it, and how the light values, the image brightness are in the different scenarios. So after you're done planning the projector throw, also the lumens of the projectors, it would be really nice to just use any of the projectors that we have here at the Media Commons. So we provide 4 Optima Tech GT 2100 projectors, which are just very standard projectors. We have one installed right over there on the ceiling grid. So these are very standard short throw 4,200 lumens projectors, and this is also the most popular ones we have here at the space. It gets checked out all the time. So definitely, put in a reservation before. And it is around like 0.49, 0.5 to 1 door ratio. So it's quite low. And it means that you can just have it pretty close to the surface that you're projecting on and have a really large image. We also have the Epson EB-PU1008 projector, and we have 2 installed in the ballroom and the black box. And these are about 8,500 lumen, and these are really, really nice because they're massive projections where they have like a 0.35 to 1 throw ratio in the sense that it can throw a really large image in a really short distance. So if you're considering anything like floor projection, which we have like one installed right above you, and we have like different kinds of like massive installation projections, these are really nice. And we also have the Epson Pro L1755 laser projector, and these are also installed in the ballrooms and the black box. These are 15,000, so they're really, really bright, and they have a really clear image. And these are also 0.35 to 1 throw ratio, so it's really massive image. We also check out the projection card, which we have right over here, and we have the box for the PC, and we also, which has 8 display ports, and also the MacBook Pro, which also has 8 USB-C display ports, which means that you can plug into a lot of different outputs depending on your installation, and you can definitely use MapMapper in both of these equipments because they're both installed in the Media Commons. Some of the other things that you might want to check out from this space also include what are you going to like project onto, what's the surface that you're going to need. So we definitely provide the Vivo 100 inches portable projector screen where it's just like a very standard projector movie screen. We also provide the muslin projection fabric, which varies in sizes, but for this one, it's also just like a very standard projection fabric. It's gray, so it's really nice to be projected onto, where it enhances image quality. You can see both black and white when you're projecting onto it. So that's just a really popular tool that is being checked out here at the space as well. Some additional accessories include HDMI cables, HDMI extenders, and also tie lines, clamps, and magic arms. So just a general workflow when we're working with MapMapper. We're going to start off by setting up the different projectors at the space, whether you're going to hang it on the ceiling grid or put it onto a tripod. You're also going to specify the media output in MapMapper, and specifying where each of the projectors are and how you're going to send those. And then you're going to use the test pattern / the general grid that you're going to identify where the projection is going on. So in doing so, you can see whether the projection will cover the entire surface of your installation, or if you need to do any adjustment physically on the grid or in the space. So once everything is set up, we can head on towards MapMapper, where we're going to first start off by adjusting the texture coordinates, which basically means the UV textures or the source texture that you're going to use, which we'll go over later, obviously. And we're going to play more with the mapping and also perspective coordinates, just dragging it onto the different objects in the space. And eventually, we're just going to play with more additional controls and make cool visuals with it.
Okay, so I can talk about the first part, how to set up like before hanging the projector. So, the first is we have the magic arm. So you need to lock the magic arm onto the projector, and when you hear the click sounds, it might notice that you lock successfully. And also you need to note that you have to lock the metal safety pin after you lock the projector. And also secondly, you need to attach the safety cable on the projector. Make sure the safety cable is long enough to wrap around the black ceiling grate. And the last step is mount and shaking test. So it's important to make sure that you have physical ability to lift it above your head before climbing the ladder. Okay, and I can talk about climbing the ladder and hang the projector. So after climbing the ladder, you need to hold the projector steady and turn the knob on the magic arm clockwise. This tightens the clamp onto the ceiling grate and keep turning until it feels firmly locked. And the second part is to take the safety cable and wrap it around the black ceiling grate. So this is your backup protection in case anything changes, and protect the projection fall on the floor. And the last part is to place your hand underneath the projector to support and loosen the center knob on the magic arm to adjust the projector angle and direction in the perfect precision you want. And then I can talk about how to, after talking about preparation and mounting the projector, let's go over how to actually connect your laptop to the projector. So there have two ways that you can connect the projector. One is directly HDMI connection. So you might notice on the HDMI, they have two plug label. So you need to plug the source size to computer and display size to the projector. And the other way might be more complex is use HDMI extender connection. So this way might be more complex, but it's better support long distance connection and can receive more stable signal than HDMI cables. But how to connect the HDMI extender in Media Commons? And I can talk it like in the next page. So the HDMI extender actually have two parts, really important part. One is the transmitter that stay near your laptop and a receiver that goes near the projector on the ceiling. So to connect the transmitter and receiver in Media Commons, we use the Ethernet patch bay as a bridge. When you plug the transmitter into the patch bay, the signal can come out through the Ethernet selling port on our, like you can see there have a lot of like selling ports near the projector. So this setup allows the signal to travel from your laptop to the projector without needing a long HDMI cable running across the room. And the last part is like before Open Map Mapper is to check your computer display setting. So basically, it should stop mirroring first and use the projector as an extended display. And another important thing I want to mention before starting Mapper is the order of switch on the products. So first, you need to turn on the projector and then turn on the laptop. And the last part is Open Map Mapper. So if you do that in a like this order, it might burn the cables or cause the fire. And also it might like show the main screen in the wrong display and you cannot change back in the display setting. Okay, so let's get started to the Map Mapper.
Cool, it just worked. So perfect timing. Okay, so as we open Map Mapper, it's going to look a little bit scary. Once I started opening it, it's the, well, there is obviously a lot of different elements that goes on into the interface, but it could be split into 4 distinct, can everyone see? Just like checking. And if anybody has any questions, just raise your hand if you need clarification. We have a lot of content to cover. So, but as you open Map Mapper, you're gonna see 4 distinct visual groups, where on the first one, so right over here, we're going to see the media panel where you have all of the generators, all of the patterns, and different kinds of effects, ISFs, images, movies that you can bring in from the outside, and also live output, like this is just video. And we're also going to have like preview test cards, the resolution, which will match to the projector's resolution. And in the middle, we're going to have the view panels, and on the left side, as I mentioned, is the source UV. And on the right side is the perspective viewport, where you can drag and conform the different shapes that you create in Map Mapper to the real world. And over here is the third one, which is project panels. And here is, we're going to stick to this little icon because, oh, sorry, it's not, oh, resolution's a little off, but let me just drag this. Do you see this little icon? This means video mapping, and this is the one that we're going to stick to for projection mapping. This is DMX, and there's all kinds of different, I think this is laser. There's all kinds of different things that you can play with in Map Mapper, but we're just going to stick to this one. And in the tool panel, which we'll cover more later, it's mostly where we're going to be working with for all the effects and the shapes. But most importantly, before we start diving in to Map Mapper, we have to specify the input and the output. So we want to go into this tab, And this is basically where we're going to control the video outputs and the inputs. And in this case, we're using 2 projectors. So it's really important to create a projector and specify where it's going to be. Oh, I might have missed this just now, but this is the scenes and cues panel, which we can also play with for like different kinds of visual effects. We can close it for now. So as Tina went over, we want to make sure that the displays are correct, and I do think these are incorrect, so bear with me. Let me just double check. So this is mirrored. We want to stop mirroring it. This is also mirrored. Sorry, y'all, but do we have any questions?
Yeah, this is really important for like, you need to put the projector as the extended display instead of the mirroring display. So it might not success if you do the mirroring things.
Right. So, Tina, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close MapMapper. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in these cases, you want to make sure to close MapMapper because you don't want to mess with the different kinds of outputs and different kinds of channels, because in the system, you're going to specify which output is going to be which, and in MapMapper, you're going to do that as well. So we want to make sure to check that, for example, for Optima, it is not mirrored. It's going to be an extended display. And for, ooh, okay. Sorry, there's way too many inputs in the, it's kind of freaking out. But going to HDMI extender. So this is correct. It's extended display. This is also extended display. So everything looks good. I'm going to open back up the file. Do we have any projects in mind that we want to create with projection mapping?
What's the project?
Feel free to share. Anything in mind? Nice. Really cool. Pepper illusion is a very, very awesome effect where, do you want to explain it? Well, yeah, feel free to share. This is a very, very friendly space. Right. So basically like a hologram. Yeah. So it's a very, I believe the person's name was Pepper. Something Pepper was the last name. But when he basically came up with this immersive theater effect where he would have someone at the bottom of a theater, and then he would use like this mirror to reflect the light and basically have another glass on top. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's basically this like hologram effect of this like woman underground, but she's like a ghost. So you do see those in a lot of like Disney rides or just like a lot of like installations that you could also use. So it's a very cool effect, but definitely you should play with that. There's also a possibility we could explore. I think it's all correct except for Optima.
I think it's correct.
It's correct. Yeah. Okay. So we're sending. Okay. So now that we have it all set up, we're going to come back to the outputs page. And as you can see, I've already created 2 video outputs, but if you need one more, you can just click this icon to create another one. In this case, we're not going to need it. And output number 1, I've specified into HDMI extender, which is the Epson projector right above you. And what I'm going to do is toggle on show test pattern and come to outputs and full screen mode. And as you can see, the projector is receiving the signal correctly. So test pattern is a really useful way to make sure that the space is enough for your installation, whether or not your projector is set up in the right way. We're also going to come to video output 2, come back down to destination again. Okay, that was a bug that came up.
Wait, the monitor died.
The wire died?
Yeah.
Sorry guys, technical difficulties. Which wire died?
It's like it's not showing. Like
Yeah, let me exit. Okay, sorry about that. So I think it accidentally slid into the TV, so that was incorrect. But we want to make sure the destination is Optima, which is our second projector. And again, we're going to click Show Test Pattern, come to Output, Full Screen Mode. Okay, so that is incorrect. Let's troubleshoot it. Let's see. So I think it looks like, I'm going to turn this off. This one, Show Test Pattern. All right. It looks like this one is not receiving the signal, but for time's sake, we're just going to go ahead with this one projector. We can, if anybody has any questions, I'm going to troubleshoot it after the session, and you can definitely come up with and help me maybe if you know anything, but it's just a very common thing when there's many different kinds of outputs and connections. You have to look through all of the troubleshooting. But okay, I'm going to turn this off. So it looks like, quit. Let me try again. Show test pattern. Oh, we got it. So I think my slides were on the projector, but now that we got it closed, it's working great. So again, come to show test pattern and full screen mode, and as you can see, it's covering the fabric pretty well. Awesome. So now that we're ready to start some projection, we're going to come back to the video mapping page. And Tina, would you like to do it? Okay. I'm going to come ahead. So we can close this panel. Just hit this little button. And right, so I think it will be awesome to map this table. I want the table to have like a cool color. So Tina, could you quickly demonstrate how we can do that? I'm gonna stand out so you guys can see the screen.
Yeah. So I might like create a pattern first, like this, and then so if I want to create a color, I can use the color pattern in here and then drag into the like here.
So as you can, that was perfect. But
Which
as you
color?
can see, yes, this is the UV panel that we're going to be sourcing the materials from. And as you can see, we have like a little quad in the middle. So think of this as like the viewport for sampling your textures. And right now, if you look on the perspective view, we have the quad on the right side, which is our number 2 output. So do we remember which projector it is? We can also see it. So yeah, it's the Optima projector, but since we want it on the table, we're going to drag this to the first panel on the right side.
Okay.
Yeah. So just drag the quad to the first one. So great, we have colors in the first projector. So do we understand the relationship between the 2 projectors? I know it's confusing, but because we specified 2 projectors, it's good to like lay them side by side and then have like number 1 as Epson. You can also rename it, and number 2 as the Optima. So great, now that we have color here and this massive projector, how are we going to conform it to the table?
Yeah, how to do that? Like,
Do
so
we, yeah.
yeah.
Do we have any colors? Any preference in colors? No? Okay, and what you, oh, green, perfect.
Green. Okay, green.
So we can just make it green by dragging this little panel.
Yeah.
So select the quad again.
And we have like 2 quad in now. And then maybe I just put this, which one? Okay. And then I want the color to be green, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So right now, this quad is still on the second projector. And we're going to come to green.
This one is good?
I think it's good.
Yeah, okay.
And then we're going to drag the quad back into the first one.
Here, green is coming.
Awesome. It's very Halloween. Purple and green. All right, so now that we have the colors ready, we have a quad. And a table is a pretty good surface to project stuff onto because, well, it's a rectangle. So Tina, how would we conform this quad into the table size?
I think we need to drag the four corner. You can easily drag. You can see the change at the floor, and then you need to match with the table. Like right now, I think this is the perfect angle.
Yep. So
Yeah.
you're just going to very easily drag the four different corners into the table size and shape. And right now it looks like
Yeah, a little bit
it's facing like this. So
Yeah.
the top right corner needs to be moved down a little bit more.
top down. Okay.
Top right.
Top right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So more on the left side, on your left. You can also use the arrowheads on the keyboard for more precise movements.
Yeah.
So more on the left.
Like this.
Yeah, it's close. Just a little more.
Okay. I think it's good. Right?
There's still some more here. So we can
Yeah.
use this.
I think it's good.
So it's definitely like a process where you kind of have to look at both the screen and the physical space. And could you select this corner?
Yes.
Could you guys tell me when it's good?
Yeah.
I can't really see from there.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Is it getting there?
Okay.
Hope you enjoyed. All right.
Yeah,
so
I think
looks like
it's
the
good.
corner is covered there.
And then the last part.
Here, can I do it?
Yeah.
Got
I
it?
cannot see it.
Yeah, it's difficult to see because a lot of stuff going on here.
More this side?
Oh. Guys, trust me, it's really hard.
Someone want to try it? Like to match the table? Is there someone want to try it?
We're also going to have other exercises that you can try later on if
Yeah.
you have time, but no pressure. I know I'm getting stage fright right now, so I hope you guys are not judging me.
I think that is perfect. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
This was fine?
Yeah.
I think the top one is still a little off. So you can see in the viewport here, it's not a perfect rectangle either. So I would probably just move this more here.
Perfect. Perfect. So
Alright.
perfect.
That's good? Awesome. So now that we have the color ready, do we like it? But since we have the surface mapped, we can do basically anything in here now. We don't have to have the purple be green. So for example, if you want, let's see, I'm going to click this. I'm going to click speed. Oh, well, it's a color changing table.
Yay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different parameters that you can play with in both the source and also the media panel. And if we navigate more towards here, we can see there's an array of different patterns that we can use. So for example, I want it to be a barcode. And I want the barcode to be faster. A little faster. Size, make it a bit smaller.
More bigger. Texture.
So we can move this for a bigger texture.
Yeah.
I think this is not the greatest example, but let me move in dunes. So now we have a dunes effect, and you can click on this again, and in the media panels, you can navigate all the way down here for scale. So we can move, it's kind of think of it as a noise. You can move the size of the noise, you can play with the speed of the noise. There's a lot of different things that you can play with. So this is just one example where you can use the table as a projector surface. So do we have any questions right now of how anything works? Cool. Right.
Do you want to use this or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another example could be origami mapping. So this is just something I made for this workshop. It's an origami surface. And there's this one artist that also created this kind of triangular shape in very, very small small sizes, much smaller than mine. But basically, he put it all over the wall, and it's a really easy projection installation that anybody could do, really. So let me just put it in here. Cool. So what if I don't want this what do you call this? The triangular shape thing.
Yeah.
This pyramid to have the effect that we're seeing now. So one thing that you could do, obviously, is you could create another shape. In this case, I would create a triangle. And I would choose a different effect for this. So I'm going to go back to test cards and drag it on. Then make the triangular shape much smaller.
Yeah.
So Tina, if you could look out for me.
Yeah.
So one thing for sure, you can just like overlay. Okay, I'm gonna move it to my side so I can see better. And think of the tools panel as like the layers that you're working with. If anybody is like familiar with Photoshop, oh, we don't want to move that. Photoshop or just any kinds of design platforms, you're just basically overlaying one effect over another. And because I kept selecting this, what we can do also is lock this. And this is not going to be moved anymore. So I can focus on my pyramid and basically drag this down. Yeah, you guys are welcome to like walk around too. I know it's like hard to see from where you're sitting.
Yeah.
Cool. So last edge. Does this look good?
Good. And also one more.
One more on that side?
Yeah.
It's a little bit hard for me to see. Could you direct me?
Yeah.
Yes.
If this is a triangular base, can it just be one triangle to the entire base instead of multiple?
Yes. You could definitely do one massive triangular projection, but in that case, you can imagine the UV as like one shape. So it's going to be flat, depending on how you project it. So right now, I am adjusting the coordinates to make sure, if you look on this side, the projection is flat to the surface of the projection, of the pyramid, so it looks more real life. You can obviously project like straight downwards, but that will probably distort the shape a little bit depending on the surface. So a really important part of like stretching and conforming the geometries for the UVs is to make it look more realistic. So, right, Tina, could you help me direct?
Okay.
Does that answer your question? All right, cool.
It's this angle, right? Wait, where is the?
It's the one on that side.
This side. Right?
Yeah, so I'm gonna lock this one, select this triangle. So is it covering it?
Yeah.
You know where I should move it to? To the right?
Right.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah, good.
And for this edge?
More down, like more left? Or more right? Yeah. More this side. And more back. More up.
To the right. Let me know when I should stop.
Yeah.
Good?
More up.
Up? Okay.
Yeah. More up.
Up?
Yeah.
It needs to be above that, like top.
Oh. I see. Just
Yes, that's perfect. Yeah. More up. Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And more down a little bit, just down a little. Yeah.
Good?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you guys for your help. It's kind of hard to do it alone, but I think I want to see some cool things happening in this scene. So if you guys have your own sources or your own visual effects, obviously bring it in. Whether you're like an VJ or like you're a 3D artist, you can bring anything in, your animations, etc. But here we have a library tab where we have like a lot of the available public resources that are available to everyone. So for example, let's see. So we want to keep the bottom one the same, but let me change this one. What if I want this? Do we see a change? Nice. So these are all available to us, and there's just like so many different kinds of resources that you can play with. I'm gonna change this one to something like this. Oh, this is the same, sorry. So I'm gonna come to triangle one. Unlock it. Moving the plasma. Cool. Do we like it? Nice.
Yeah.
So this is a way of like 3D projection mapping where you can build a very simple geometry. And you can project it onto the surface. The reason why, again, I split it into two distinct different sections is that I can also have control over what kinds of material that will go onto it. There's a lot of different things that you can play with in the media panel and also the tools tab. So if we come down here, you'll see there's like output, there's feathering, there's masks. This is particularly important if you want to like crop something out in the middle of something. But we're not going to go over that today because it's just like there's so many more that goes on to MapMapper that you can play with. There's also like mesh warping, there's inputs. It's really awesome. But so this is just like basics of how you can create like a table projection. And yeah, I think that's about it. But I realize we don't have anything on our second projection screen yet. So do we have any effects that we want to project onto here? Let me just create a quad very quickly.
Maybe I want to.
A tunnel? Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll get it for you. Let's see. It looks like. Drag it down. Drag this up a little bit more. So obviously there's like a lot of different things that I can tweak as I'm creating my installation. This is not perfect, obviously, but
The upper more
upper,
more left.
it's blocked by the lights. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
So I think it's good right now.
it's good.
Yeah.
So, all right, this one, disco tunnel.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, so that's basically how you do it. And you can see that the geometry is a little bit conformed just because what we here have at the resolution is like a square. Usually, I don't think this is the best way, but there's a lot of advanced things that you can go into, including mesh warping, changing the parameters of the output. But for me, if I'm doing something very quickly, I might just like drag this down so that, no, sorry, that's the other way. Drag this in. So it kind of expands the UV texture of it. But there's a lot of different things that you can play around. There's no one correct way for doing these things. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'm really happy to stay behind. And you feel free to come up to take a look at the MapMapper interface and play with it yourself if you want to. But do we have any questions? Yeah. As for the dimensions for the UVs, you're saying? So usually the default I'm okay with working in, but if you are thinking of like, imagine you're projecting onto a really big surface, you technically would match up to the projector resolution, which for Optima is like 1920 by 1080. So 1080p is definitely a good way to go just as a safety. But there's definitely a lot of different parameters that you can put in depending on your projector and the different kinds of image size that you want to do. So definitely like navigate to projector output. Make sure the projector output are the same. And you can see kind of like a preview here. But does that answer your question? Yeah. Yeah.
How would you map like an organic shape that isn't like a square on the wall?
Great question.
Math, right?
We could show it right now, I guess. So this is kind of organic, right? It's not exactly straight. So I might need your help, Tina, but
Okay.
what we could do is come to this side on the perspective view and right click, and you can add a warping point. And you can also here enable the warping point. You can also add it here, but usually I just right click directly on the perspective. So it looks like this side. So we can just like move this warped geometry by the grid. And it looks like the bottom is bleeding a little, so I can just add another warping point and then drag this in. Let's see. Do you guys, let's see, drag this down. Okay, so that's too far, but I can add another warping point here. Let's see. Drag this down.
Maybe up a little bit.
Yeah, so it covers it a little better, but obviously there's like a lot of tweaking that I should do. But
Yeah.
one way is definitely to like add warping points to the geometry that you're working with. You can also play with different shapes. We have like a circle here, and just usually I go with quads, but let's see. Usually that's how I would go about just warping to an organic geometry. Like what's the geometry that you have in mind that you're going to use?
No, just kind of thinking like future. I don't have a specific instance, but so you kind of just add working points and manipulate it until.
Yes, yeah. I will also recommend if you look at the MapMapper's website, they have like advanced mesh warping, where you will create like specific parameters to make sure that the geometry is not deformed. So if you look on mine, it's like a little bit deformed and maybe you wouldn't want that. So there's like a lot of advanced things that you can definitely go into for like projecting onto a pillar or projecting onto anything organic that is hard to project. And you can also use like the mask function to like carve it out to have like a better control of like the edges of your projection.
Yeah, and I also highly recommend you check on the bar. They have a help function. And you click that bar. They have a lot of like advanced tutorial that can help you learn how to map the map. Like they have a lot of things you can learn, and you just to click it and it jump to a video things you can check. And also on the YouTube, they have a MapMapper official channel. You can go and check their like basic tutorial to learn more about MapMapper. Yeah.
Cool. Yes. Cut a hole? Should I cut a hole in this? Let's see. So again, we could try to do a little mask right now, but we can navigate, come down to the tools panel, and we have this little mask section. So I'm going to cut a little ball. So you can see on the panel, it shows up as like this massive green ball, but it is the mask that we are, oh, sorry. Control Z. Okay, come back to it, circle. So this is the mask that we're working with. We can like adjust it by here, but say I want the tunnel to only show up in the mask. So you can come down to invert mask and just click it, and now you only have a part of the circle that is showing up. So this is again really good for like organic mapping. If you have like a really big texture or like a really big scene, or you have a large animation that you want to project onto multiple objects, you can create masks and conform the geometry based on the shape and the 3D object, and basically have this showing up.
Can you add the work points onto that?
I think it depends
What
on the
point?
geometry. I'm not sure if you can add it to the circle mask, but let me try adding a square. Let's see, continue path from here. Yeah, for some reason, I think the mask, you can't really add any warping points, which I thought was weird as well, but there's also another way of just like drawing a mask.
Yeah.
I can like draw
Drawing
this.
your own mask.
And hit enter. Oh, so that cropped it out. But I'm going to invert the mask. So you have like this part showing up. Let me turn this off. So this is the mask that I drew. Let me put it here. And I can also come down to feathering. So feathering, if anybody doesn't know, basically means that you're going to soften out the edges and make it look a little bit more natural. So this is what I would do in my project if there was like a little circle of thing that I want to show up, but like not the harsh edges. So you can just like turn this up, and it kind of creates this very smooth, natural effect of a tunnel, I guess, of the mask that we carved out. So this is just a very basic demonstration, but a lot of people would use masks for like architectures where there's like complicated geometry, and if they have a large UV, a large animation they want to project onto a cathedral, for example, they will mask out the different parts of a pillar and they could just project it onto there. I would definitely recommend just like doing some practices on MapMapper because obviously I didn't do a great job. I still need to do some practices, but it's really, really fun. There's so many different possibilities that you can play with and just really easy to set up.
So there's like a timeline of
Yes.
trigger different videos.
Yeah. So let's see. Go to scenes and controls. So I'm just going to go over this very briefly because you can really dive into this. But the difference between scenes and cues. So on the top panel, we have scenes. So this is basically where you can save the entire scene of the MapMapper project. So you're saving everything in MapMapper. But as for cues, you're just saving one parameter. So for example, one geometry or one mask or one UV that is being brought to the scene. So just to demonstrate quickly, I think, how about, let's save this. Let's save this scene. And I'm going to come to the second one and make some changes. So I'm just going to add this effect.
Ooh.
So this is a different setup, right? Obviously. And I'm also going to change these. Oh, I don't like that. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to change that into a tunnel. And I'm going to perhaps add this to the geometries. So this is all a different setup, right? So if I want to save this, I'm just going to click this again. And then what if I want the original thing that I did earlier, which we've saved already? So I can just click on this little button and it reverts back to the scene that we created. So this is really useful for example, if you're doing something live, you can definitely have control for all of the saved presets that you have in the space. Or you can have like an installation where you would just kind of like set everything up here, all the different scenes. For example, if you're playing a story of animations for the different projected fabrics, you could set it all up in here and then create this like automated play. You can also add controls, add different things. So for example, I want to add a keyboard input. So I'll just, sorry, did I do that too fast? I right-clicked, let's go back. Does that make sense to you for the scenes? So you're basically saving the whole project. But I can right-click on Add Control, come to Keyboard, and I'm going to ask it to learn. And I'm just going to click the #1 keypad, and then come back here. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Right-click, Add Control. Whoa, sorry, I think I
Add keyboard control.
added keyboard control. I think I accidentally selected both. Let me do that again. Control, keyboard, scene 1, learn 1. Come back. Control, keyboard, learn 2. So right now, I'm clicking on #1. So this just switches to the first visual, and #2 is the second one. So it's like really good for VJing. What immediately comes to mind to me when you're like playing at a live event or you're changing the scenes, it's really great to just like have complete control. Obviously, you saw earlier when we're adding controls, you can add in an external MIDI. So you can add control. There's MIDI here, which you can plug, for example, like an Ableton Push board or like a little keyboard set or Arduino that you've created, you can plug it in and have the MIDI map to the different scenes. So that's really useful as well. Just very quickly, I'm going to go over what queues mean. So as we mentioned, scenes save the entire MapMapper project. But I'm just going to come to this new scene. If I want my triangle to always be this, when I hit this queue, I'm going to just like drag it in and drag the triangle in here as I've done that. And I'm going to deselect that. And then, let's put a mad noise. So I think it's on your side, but do you guys see it? There's like a noise on the triangle. And if I don't want this anymore, in case I want it, I'm just going to drag it in. But I can just hit the Q, and it reverts back to the effect that we did earlier. But basically, this is like a more refined control of like each of the different geos and also the shapes that you create in the software. And you can drag it in to here for more fine control. But it definitely depends on how you set up. And there's like a lot of tutorials online that you can follow. But yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you ever use Touch Designer with MapMapper?
Great question. So do you know what a siphon is? So siphon is basically this, this software that we can use, this little tool that we can use for MapMapper, which basically sends a Touch Designer or like a Google screen, anything that is external to MapMapper. So if you look on the media panel here, we have like a little siphon tool. Right now we don't have anything connected, but say I have Touch Designer open and I'm going to do an out siphon. I think it's top or chop, I don't remember. But you're gonna do that, and then once you navigate to here, once the siphon is activated, you should be able to see a Touch Designer share screen on the media panel. So just think of it as like Zoom screen share, but that's basically how you would do it. As for like PC or Windows system, they don't have siphon, but they have other tools, which you can definitely look into on the website. Awesome. Cool. I think that's about it for the demo.
Okay, so we are going to wrap up. So in Media Commons, we have some suggestions for you before you begin the MapMapper. First, we recommend like take the safety trainings, because like after you take the safety training, you can book our room for projection mapping tasks or those kind of things. And also, we highly recommend you to bring a USB or like hard drive to save your data, because our computer just refresh like every week. And also, we recommend to plan accordingly, because in our room, for example, you might need some setup time and you need to break down times, like those things. And also because setup projector is really hard sometimes, so we highly recommend you bring a friend to help you for measurements and like set up the ladder. Okay, so let us know what you think about. So maybe you can scan the QR code to.
We're gonna do the paper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got
Yeah. Hopefully, thank you again for your understanding. But hopefully you guys learned something.